Okay, so we've got an NFL update as it relates to the 49ers, as always, but this is a larger NFL update with the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Jets. The edge rusher Haason Reddick is moving over from Philadelphia to, well, technically New Jersey, not that far, but the New York Jets, who are based in New Jersey. And then also, we're going to be talking about the 49ers trying to poach Detroit Lions tight end Brock Wright through restricted free agency. That issue might take up to 5 days to resolve, but the 49ers have made their move. Wright has signed the offer sheet with them. Now it's time to see if Detroit is willing to up its offer beyond what the 49ers offer is. So anyway, NFL update, Haason Reddick, he is the player who injured Brock Purdy in that NFC Championship game to close the 2022 season. Edge rush around the tight end, Tyler Kroft hit Purdy as he was throwing in that NFC title game. Reddick was having a sensational year that year. Didn't have a sack in the Super Bowl. The Eagles tend to blame the field. I think they just ran into a really good Kansas City Chiefs team in that Super Bowl. So the lack of sacks obviously was something that differed from the course of the regular season when Philadelphia was getting to the quarterback like crazy. But you look at the 2-year stretch here, Philly went from a great defense in 2022 to, by the end of 2023, they were horrifically bad on the defensive side of the ball. They fired their defensive coordinator, Sean Desai. Obviously, he didn't finish the season calling plays for Philadelphia. They've overhauled the defense. I understand the move from their perspective. They are revamping everything. They picked up Huff, the rusher, over the course of this offseason. That was through a signing. Now we look at them parting ways with Haason Reddick. The 2-3 pick that I put there for 2026, that is a third-round pick that could bump up to a second-round pick with around 65% of play time from Haason Reddick this season. So again, the pick is not till 2026. So it's nice return because there was speculation that the Eagles, if they hadn't been able to trade Haason Reddick, would just cut him. But you look at this from the perspective of the Jets and that former 49ers staff led by Robert Saleh pushing everything all in, as they should, given the very limited window that it seems they're working with Aaron Rodgers. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Eagles are trying to clear the deck after how much of a disaster the ending of that 2023 season was for their defense. You know, there's a fascinating number here for the Philadelphia Eagles. We talk about how teams construct their salary cap and void years. I want to show you something here as far as a graphic to help you show how these teams are built, which teams have mortgaged for the future. This right here, courtesy of CDFB Analysis, might be one of the more staggering NFL graphics that I've seen. And I saw a staggering one, and I shared it with you this morning regarding Brandon Ayuk. But this is the amount of cap space each team has in void years. And void years are years tacked on past the expiration point of contracts to store cap hits. The problem is that once a player's deal is over, all of the money stored in void years past the life of his contract will accelerate and hit the cap in the time that the contract ends. So it's a really good way to get into salary cap hell if you abuse void years. The 49ers have actually been avoiding have been awarding a lot of void years because they want to stretch cap hits out of the future. They're in win now mode. But as you can tell, even though they've awarded the fifth most void year money in the entire NFL, the 49ers are nowhere near what the Philadelphia Eagles are at. The Eagles are at over $300 million, nearly $400 million in void year money. Now, most of this for Philadelphia is because Jalen Hurts has $97.5 million stuck in void years on his deal. So they've invested a ton in Jalen Hurts. We get that's the way that this franchise has chosen to go. But there was also some void year money in Haason Reddick's deal. So by trading him, that money will accelerate and hit the Eagles' books now. And this will get a little bit lower, but it's still massive. And even considering the fact that Jalen Hurts is accounting for almost $100 million of this void year money, it looks like it still would be the top figure in the NFL because the Browns are second at 200 plus million. So just staggering, gives you an idea of the Eagles' books. They're trying to clean house. They're trying to rearrange some things. The Jets, meanwhile, trying to go all in right now. All right, so for the 49ers part of this update, they're trying to poach Lions tight end Brock Wright. They're trying to make this a Brock squared situation in San Francisco. Charlie Werner was the 49ers, let's get dirty kind of tight end, right? He would do the dirty work for the 49ers over the course of the past 4 seasons, especially lately, but you could count the amount of catches that he had in single digits in his 49ers career. George Kittle has been the pass catcher. The other tight ends have been the guys who've done the dirty work for San Francisco. So they're looking to replace Charlie Werner because he signed for $12 million over 4 years or over 3 years with the Atlanta Falcons. That was more than the 49ers were willing to pay for a player who wasn't giving them all too much in the receiving game. Obviously, they have found some potential value with Brock Wright, who was tendered $2.985 million for this season by the Detroit Lions. But that is the restricted free agent tender, and it's the right of first refusal tender. It's not a second-round tender. It's not a first-round tender. It's not an original round tender. It is the lowest level of tender, which means all that the Lions have at their disposal is the right of first refusal. So the 49ers offered Brock Wright a contract that is worth more than $2.985 million, either through this season or spread out through multiple seasons. There's a good chance they offered Brock Wright some future year security. If Detroit does not decide to match the 49ers offer sheet over the course of the next 5 days, Brock Wright will become a 49er. Brock squared will become a thing, and San Francisco will not be owed any draft compensation or Detroit will not be owed any draft compensation from San Francisco. Such is the nature of the right of first refusal tender. On top of that, if the 49ers do sign Brock Wright this year, he will not count against the compensatory pick formula, which we know is very important to the 49ers' larger scale of doing things. The comp pick formula takes signings and it takes departures in free agency, plugs into a very complicated system. I talked about the fact that the 49ers thought they got jobbed by the system. So did the Buffalo Bills this season for last season's departures and additions, because the 49ers got a 4th round comp pick instead of a 3rd round comp pick. But anyway, none of this Brock Wright stuff, if he ends up going to the 49ers, would count against that formula, because the 49ers will have acquired him through the byproducts of restricted free agency, and it's unrestricted free agency that determines the comp pick formula. So the 49ers trying to play chess while they feel that maybe other teams are playing checkers here. Detroit, if Brock Wright is important enough to them, can just say, hey, yeah, we're going to match the 49ers offer. He's going to stay with us. But if Detroit decides that's not going to be the case, then the 49ers will have him. Either way, the 49ers can squeeze a little bit more money out of Detroit in this situation, right? At the very least, Detroit, if they want to keep Brock Wright, they will have to pay more than they originally tendered him. And it's never bad to weaken, even if it's just by a little bit, to weaken an NFC rival, the team that the 49ers had some trouble with in that NFC championship game. Next part of this update, I have to ask, is the 49ers quarterback room better than it was last year? Simple question. Let's take a look at Josh Dobbs, the 49ers' new QB2, working this offseason. Overcast day for Josh Dobbs. I wonder, is he in Southern California? Who knows what that high school field is, or community college field? It's on turf, but Josh Dobbs working. So they had Sam Darnold last year, who was more expensive than Josh Dobbs at $4.5 million. This year they have Josh Dobbs at $2.25 million. This is a guy who started 12 games last year, so he started more games recently than Sam Darnold. I don't think anybody is saying that the arm talent for Josh Dobbs is on par with Sam Darnold's. I think Sam Darnold might have one of the most electric arms in the NFL. But as far as operating a system, and a system like the 49er system, Josh Dobbs has proven success recently. Kyle Shanahan said that he was most impressed with how well Dobbs ran the system in Arizona last year, which was a run-first system for the Cardinals. Ran it well enough to beat the Dallas Cowboys, then ran it well enough to put up some good numbers against the 49ers the following week. One thing about Josh is that he can run. He's got some mobility. He ran for nearly 40 yards against San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan has wanted plus athleticism at the quarterback position for quite some time, and he really respects the way that Dobbs runs the ball. So my question is the 49ers quarterback room better now than last year? I think first things first, the 49ers quarterback room has a better Brock Purdy now. He's going to have a whole offseason program. So that variable at QB1, I think that's arrow up for the 49ers. The Darnold Dobbs QB2 question is interesting because I don't think that Dobbs has the same arm talent, physical upside as Darnold, but Dobbs does, I think, move a little bit better than Sam Darnold. And again, he has documented success in a pro-style system. There is so much respect around the league, and this is something that I gathered at the NFL owners meetings. So much respect around the league for how well the 49ers coach their quarterbacks, namely with Brian Griese, he's the head position coach, and then the assistant position coach in that room is Clay Kubiak. The footwork that the 49ers were able to instill in Brock Purdy, who redid so much of his throwing motion and his mechanical motion from the time that he was drafted to the time that he first began starting games for the 49ers, to the work they did with Trey Lance, to the work they did with Sam Darnold. Even though Darnold hardly played for the 49ers in games, it was enough for him to get more than a 2x pay raise, $10 million from the Minnesota Vikings. Just shows you the reputation that Griese and Kubiak have developed with the 49ers. We saw really good football from Jimmy Garoppolo under the tutelage of those guys as well. So I think that coaching-wise, the 49ers are in good position to make the most out of what they have in that room. You can argue until the cows come home about who you'd rather have as QB2, Sam Darnold or Josh Dobbs, but I think that there is no argument when you consider that Darnold would have cost $10 million and Dobbs costs only $2.25 million. So much more cost-efficient quarterback room, and obviously Brandon Allen has remained a fixture from year 2023 to this year 2024. Quarterback room definitely worth talking about if you're the 49ers. Earlier today, talked a little bit of Brandon Ayuk. And I said that his deal is essentially a lock for the 49ers. Let's listen into Ayuk on this podcast with Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco or Johnson or whatever his name is.
They're trying to get work done. They're trying to get work done. I mean, they trying to get work done. That's all I can say. Y'all know how it gets. I don't even want to get too far into that. But you know, I'm just trying to get like what Ocho just said. I'm trying to get what I deserve. I felt like this season playing football, I figured out who I was as a person, as a player, what I bring to the table, what I bring to the locker room, what I bring to organization, and just the value I hold when I walk in that building, because people gonna follow me because I've done it the right way since I've been in that building from the first day I walked in there to when I was in there earlier this morning. Done it the right way. So, and if they don't see it worth in that, that's all it is. That's all it is. It ain't nothing else. It ain't nothing else besides that. But I can't get into it. We got professionals working on both sides, so hopefully we can come to a professional agreement and continue to play professional football.
Hopefully we can come to a professional agreement and continue to talk professional football. I mean, the key from that is that Brandon Ayuk is in the building and his people are talking with the 49ers. It's as simple as that. That's good news for the 49ers, good news for Ayuk. Means that a quicker resolution of all of this is possible. So the 49ers here, 49ers top 30 visits. We're going to update you on the draft visits right now. I have the list updated up on the spreadsheet. So I'm going to go ahead and open that so we can take a look. Here you go. We've talked about Jamal Hill, Marshawn Neeland, Charles Smith-Wade, Sione Vaki, Malachi Corley, Brendan Rice. Now I've added recently Brandon Dorlus and Javon Baker. Baker is a receiver from Central Florida. He's a route running specialist, played his best games against some of the best Power 5 competition. Dorlus, also an interesting player. He played edge at Oregon, but I think that Brandon Dorlus is going to be somebody who's a candidate to play a really, really athletic defensive tackle role in the NFL. Or at the very least, he'll be somebody who can play a versatile D lineman role. The 49ers need edge rushers and they need defensive tackles in the pipeline, especially at that tackle position. Malik Collins might only be a Band-Aid for this team for a year, maybe 2. He's under contract for 2. Javon Hargrave obviously is under contract, but he's not going to be with this team forever. He's on the wrong side of 30. And then you need depth beyond that. So when you look at Brandon Dorlus, look at this. This is how he measures against defensive tackles, even though he played at that edge in Oregon. The 40-yard dash at a 4.8, which is insanely fast for DTs. Really good 10-yard split. Good athleticism. Good, change of direction with the 3-cone and the broad jump. So, I mean, again, he's lighter because he has played that edge position. But the 49ers, they're not afraid to put a 283-pounder inside, especially if it's on passing downs to work against those guards. So that's Dorlus out of Oregon. That is one of the 49ers' official 30 visits. That was reported not too long ago. Brendan Rice, obviously Jerry Rice's son, is on that list. You got Javon Baker. And, I remain of the opinion that the 49ers are going to take Luke McCaffrey at some point. We'll see when they could get him. I think he would be great as a return man. I think, punt return man. I mean, he's done that. I think that he is obviously it'd be a legacy pick. I agree. It'd be great for videos. It'd be great for stories to have both McCaffreys on the 49ers team, but they have 10 picks. So just even if they do pick Luke McCaffrey, would not preclude them from looking at some of these other guys. So anyway, I have given the 49ers update, which means I'm going to open this up for a couple minutes to a 49ers Q&A on this beautiful Friday afternoon. As Mike says, it'd be LMC and CMC on the 49ers. Gold Rush 81 wants to grab the QB from Michigan. You want to grab McCarthy? Somebody said that would be like a first-round version of Brock Purdy, like a 5-star recruit version of Brock Purdy. I don't think he's going to be available when the 49ers are picking. I don't think they're going to use a pick on a quarterback this year. They might bring in an undrafted free agent to round out the room over the course of the offseason. As Mike said, he's going to be gone before pick 31. Brandon Dorlus, according to Mike, is an early third-round projection. And the 49ers obviously will have capital before then, around then. So it's a possibility, and he is a top 30 visit. The biggest misconception that I've seen out there regarding the draft and the 49ers potential picks is that they don't need interior defensive linemen or defensive linemen at all. They always need defensive linemen. That is, I mean, they finally were able to sign guys to 2-year deals this offseason. So maybe for next year, they won't need immediate starters. So Floyd is on a 2-year deal. They acquired 2 more years of Collins deal. I believe they've got 2 more years of Hargrave. Nick Bosa just signed a long-term extension, so he'll be around for a while. But as you can tell, Elliott signed a 2-year deal. Givens a 1-year deal. Gross Matos a 2-year deal. Robert Beals got 3 years after this, but he's still a very developing rookie. I believe Kalia Davis only has 2 years left. Same thing with Drake Jackson. So a big inflection point is coming for this defensive line in just 2 years. They have to be ready to replenish this, and you can't just replenish it once everybody leaves. You have to be a little bit ahead of the game. Obviously, they have needs on the offensive line as well. With Banks under contract only this year, they just extended McKivitz, so he'll be there longer, 2 more years. Trent Williams, he's going to be 36. Depth right here. Jalen Moore, final year of his contract. Barch is on a 1-year deal. You've got Nick Zakel, who was in the draft class with Brock Purdy. So he has 2 years left. And Spencer Burford, same deal, 2 years left for Spencer Burford. Kyle never said that he thinks the 49ers are set at the offensive line. There are so many people that don't know how to report this accurately. It really, at the end of the day, is maddening. Now, I'm not blaming Steve. I mean, Steve is just consuming the information online, but there's, I've asked Kyle specifically about this. I've asked John Lynch specifically about this. They've never indicated they're done with the offensive line. They've said that they've established a floor that they'd be comfortable with in case they didn't have any more picks. But the fact of the matter is they have 10 picks in the draft. And the draft is the best way to obtain cost-controlled talent along the offensive line. The guard market went absolutely berserk this offseason. Robert Hunt, $20 million. Kevin Dotson, $16 million. Jonah Jackson around $16 million too. Teams overpaid for guards, unquestionably. The 49ers have tried to be cost efficient this offseason. I think all arrows point toward them investing in that offensive line over the course of the draft. They're not done. They haven't indicated that they're done. I don't know where this information is coming from, but that absolutely isn't the case. All right. Good 20-minute show here on Friday afternoon. I got some stuff to go do. So everybody, thanks for watching. We will talk to you very soon.